This is Chef Dan Catano at MealPro, the chef instructor here, and thank you for tuning in with us. If it's your first time tuning in, you're going to enjoy this one segment on what I'm doing here. It is braised beef short ribs, okay? Braised beef short ribs, and they're really simple method to do that. I'm doing it with these small little beef short ribs. You can buy them at any of the stores here in town. They're really nice and lean. They're beautiful pieces of meat. So the first step I'm going to do with that is I'm going to just take and turn on my heat. Fire. Okay, get my olive oil, which I have here, nice and hot, simmering, because we're going to color what we call coloration on our meat and sear in the juices into them, right? And then what I have is I don't use flour because I like to keep it gluten-free, and then we keep it low sodium, no sugar added. So we kind of like to keep that healthier end of the cooking that we do here, right? So this is flour that I use is a potato flour. And I have some seasoning mix in here that I use, no salt, but I use like onion powder, celery, ground celery, and white pepper. And I'm just gonna add a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of that inside of my flour mix. Okay, and then I'm gonna mix that around here. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my beef, like 2 at a time, and I'm gonna add them into my flour mix, as you can see, just to dust them around a bit, just to get some nice coloration on my product here. Okay, and that's going to go right in the pan. And we're going to just brown those off on every side. Just to get some nice coloration. And then we're going to talk about the braising liquid, okay? What to do on the braising liquid. You could make the braising liquid one day in advance, right? You don't have to just do it all one time in the kitchen. Your braising liquid could be separate from doing this method here on browning off your short ribs. Okay, so we're just going to add the short ribs to the pan. Set this aside. Okay, now that my hands are clean, I'm just going to take off my gloves here, and then let's just talk about our braising liquid. My liquid broth that's going to cover my meat to braise it. So I have red wine in it. Got a pencil? I do about a cup of red wine, 2 cups of beef broth. Okay, a teaspoon of this vegetable paste, okay, and a teaspoon of this beef base paste, and then I also put in just a little teaspoon or tablespoon of this tomato paste that goes, and that is my liquid for my braising. Okay, and then I'm just going to take and just turn my meat around, get that seared off real good. Just searing some of those juices. As you can see, it's getting nice and brown. That's what you want to try to accomplish, is making it real nice and brown all the way around. So we're browning that off on all ends. Stand it up to this side a little bit. And what to serve with these braised beef? You could do a nice soft polenta if you want. You could do some oven roasted new potatoes if you want to do that. Fresh grilled asparagus, some broccoli, cauliflower mix, and saute it up a little bit with like maybe a little bit of sauce. There's a lot of good accompaniments that you could serve with these braised meats. All right, so this is getting brown enough, really good. Getting some good coloration on it. Now at this point, I'm just going to take them off the heat. I'm going to put my other pot on, right? And then I'm going to take the short ribs. I'm going to put them right in my pot. Lay them down in there neatly. Now this here, you can just take, and we call that the fond, F-O-N-D. There's pieces of the meat in there, and you can just drop that right in the pan, actually. And then, like I said, here's the liquid that I have here, the braising liquid. I'm just going to pour that into my meat until it covers it. Okay, doing great. And then I'm just going to wait till it gets to a nice little simmer. Once it does that, either you could take it at a 375 degrees or maybe a 350 degree temperature, and then cover it with a lid, stick it in your oven at home, and cook it for like maybe an hour and 25 minutes or so. Just open it up mid cooking time, and then just take a fork inside of your meat to see if it's nice and tender. If it's to your liking, pull it out. And what do you do with this liquid? Don't throw it away, because you're going to thin that down with a little bit of red wine and starch Remember what that is? It's not a roux. What's that called? You're right, it's a slurry. So you're just going to tighten that up a little bit after this meat all takes and gets really, really nice and tender as a braising liquid part of it. And when it starts to simmer, what you do is just turn down your heat, or you just cover it like that with a lid on top of it, put it in your oven, walk away, come back in about maybe 45, 50 minutes, open up your plate there or your top, take a fork, poke it a bit, see if it's nice and tender through it, and then guess what? You have some great, great braised short ribs. So, if you liked this video, click the like button. And if you want to subscribe to more items that we do on the YouTube channel, just hit the subscribe button as well too. I hope you enjoyed how to do braised short ribs. Really easy recipe to do, and enjoy. Arrivederci.